You've spent countless hours in the garage with your dad. Now investing in that old car and working on it with your son reminds you of him. And his legacy lives on. Fund your passion with a low-interest home equity line of credit from Bank of Blue Valley.
What are you doing?
Oh, how are you doing? Just drinking this nice glass here, doing the old drinks with leaders. How are you doing?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
It's deep. Are you ready?
I'm there. Yeah, I'm ready.
Because I always say every week that you're so weird whenever you do something cringy on here. But then what I'm realizing is I'm starting to think everybody's weird. Do you think that everybody is just weird to everybody else because their own sense, their own reality? But those people think they're normal.
No, I think people that are not weird are not normal. I think we are all quirky, crazy individuals. And if you're not, I feel like you're hiding something. So I don't trust you.
So if you're completely yourself, then you're probably coming off as a weirdo to some people.
To me it is. But what is weird to some people is you interrupted your day because you went on a walk. You're trying to get more vitamin D, and you came home with 2 dogs, and you had to call the owner of the other dog. What was the dog's name, and how did you get them home? Because I'm sure Bank of Blue Valley and Burns and McDonnell want to be associated with kind-hearted people like Aaron Fulk.
Okay, so this is actually what happened. My neighborhood's adjacent to an off-leash dog park, so I take my dog over there to walk. And so we came out of the dog park, and we were like walking down the sidewalk, and then this teeny tiny little dog followed us all the way home. And I kept looking; there was no other people in sight anywhere. So then I put it in my backyard. And then I came over here, I took a picture of its collar, and I came over here to call, and it took off down the street. So it must have got out of my backyard somehow. I got a big dog, so it doesn't ever get out. So I called the number real fast, and I was like, your dog's da-da-da-da, and then they went and found it. So it was just so super, super random. And I'm not really a dog person.
I'm glad that we have sponsors like Bank of Blue Valley and Burns and Mac that allow us to pay writers to give us our banter ahead of time. So the writers at Olathe East High School in the theater program, we want to thank you for giving us creative banter like losing a dog.
Wait, listen, I have to talk about something really quick. All the people always ask me about hosting their live show. I've talked about this before. Of course, I know great companies that host live shows, but we have a few tickets left. I'm really surprised we have any tickets left at all. Cher Jones, who actually teaches on the back end of LinkedIn, she works for LinkedIn, teaches you how to do your own live show, will be at the Lillian James Creative Office in person on Tuesday. So a week from today, she's going to be here, and she's going to teach you all about how to host a live show, how to be a good interviewer, what are the things people are looking for, how to go live. It's an incredible event. She's coming into town from Toronto, Canada. It's a lunch and learn event from 12 to 1:30. We have a few tickets left. I will actually post it to this page afterwards if you guys want to swoop up any of those last tickets. But she is amazing. She makes my LinkedIn look puny. So come see her. I'm so excited. She's one of my besties, and she's coming in town, and it's going to be great. Okay, look. Delvon says, yes, ready to see some awesome people, especially Aaron and Scott. Thank you. And Jessica says, glad to know this, Aaron, about being weird. I was going to ask for your next speaking gig to teach my mom about technology and not click spam links. Haha. No, Mom, that's not fake Netflix, but figured you think that comment was weird. I love it. Jessica, next Tuesday, I'll be with Cher. She's going to do the majority of the speaking. I'll just do the intros and stuff. And Michael Mackey is going to be the MC. So it's going to be a really good, fun event.
You know, people don't get credit for wanting to be an MC. Being an MC is really hard. And I'm sure our panelists that we're going to get to know all about it because they probably get asked to be an MC. But to the audience, do not say you can MC an event unless you've practiced or you have a lot of experience, because it is hard.
It's my dream to be an MC at a really big event. Did you know that?
Yes, but you are prepared. You know it. You perform live all the time. You help people with LinkedIn live shows. Our panel.
For an hour before this, I was on TikTok live.
Yeah.
With me and Matt Watson just killing it over on TikTok live today. So, okay, let's do this. Let's quit talking. Let's bring everyone in. We do want to thank Bank of Blue Valley and Burns and McDonnell for being amazing. All right, nobody cares about us. Let's play your stupid music.
There you go, Johnson County, frat guy.
All right, our first guest today is Kelly. And then Ann, followed by Mike, and last but certainly not least is Andrew. Probably we've added that music since you guys have been on this show. Yay. All right, Kelly, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Well, I'm Kelly Landry, and I own CONA Wealth. We are financial advisors. I have a business partner back in Los Angeles and a couple of other advisors that work with us. And we do financial planning for individuals, families, small businesses. Typically every year I take a couple of pro bono clients also that are usually either a single mom or a widower. And we just work to help them with making whatever their financial goals and dreams are better. So even if they have a great plan, we help them make their plan better. And some people that are just starting off have no plan. So our goal is to help them have a plan so they can have that comforting feeling of knowing that they'll be able to retire someday and not have their kids having to take care of them. Oh, and I ended up in Kansas City. I came out here for a conference in Overland Park in 2006. I'm from Burbank, California, and I was born and raised, lived there forever, and I loved it here. It was November. It was like 60 something degrees the 2 days I was here, and beautiful. And I was like, I want to live there someday. So when my kids were adults, 9 years later, I moved here right before the Royals won the World Series, and I cannot imagine moving back.
Like, I'm in California, the state most people want to move to, and you're like, I would like to go to Kansas City.
And I have one friend who's already moved here that I went to high school with. I have another one that's in the process of looking for houses. So because her son's about to graduate and she's going to move here. And I just moved my parents here. I am a recruiter for Kansas City.
What was it about Kansas City?
It's beautiful here. It has all the amenities of a big city, which is important for me being from Los Angeles. I don't think I'd know what to do with myself in a little town. But it has just the slower pace of life makes people friendlier. I mean, people are so nice there too, but they're always rushed. There's so much traffic. And here I just thought it's so beautiful with all the fountains and the lakes, even though there's not the ocean, there's so much more water here. And I just think it's great. You could get anywhere in Kansas City in less than an hour or two, which is like unbelievable to me.
And you can get to any of the coasts within 3.
Yes.
In an airplane.
Exactly.
So you don't meet a lot of people that do that move. I meet a lot of people that move to California, but not from California.
Nope, love it here.
So Kelly, what is the origin of the naming of your company? I think it's a lovely name. And then I'd love to know a curveball that you've recently helped a client out with to talk a little bit more about your business.
Okay, so my business partner, I was telling you, is back in Los Angeles. We've been together now 19 years. And he started, we were colleagues, and he started CONA. He couldn't come up with a name. His dogs' names were Cora and Nina. So he just named it CONA after his 2 dogs. And because he has no kids.
For company.
Yeah, he has no kids. So it's not named after my kids. It is named after his 2 now unfortunately deceased dogs all these years later. But that's where the name came from. And at one point he said, do you want to rebrand? Because he wasn't married to the name. And I'm like, people always ask where it came from. And I love telling them, oh, it's named after my partner's dogs, because it's kind of a ridiculous way to come up with a name.
I like it.
Yeah. And we've since created, definitions to go with it. So it's like an acronym now for other stuff. But, that was the origination of it. So, and you said a curveball. Oh my gosh, that seems like that's all I've gotten since COVID started. Like, I need this, I need that.
So, yeah, don't want to put you on this spot. I didn't know if there's a problem that maybe sometimes people typically have. Just the other day, it's figuring out, like, do people have the right type of umbrella coverage, or do they They investing in the right stuff. I just didn't know if there's a curveball you helped a client with that maybe you wanted to share with the audience to talk a little bit about your business.
I think probably two different things. One would be really helping a handful of my clients that need help with tax planning for the future. So many people just look at what are my taxes today, and they don't look at what's going to happen 10 years, 20 years from now when they want to start withdrawing, and they're now bombarded with taxes. So helping people reposition assets now to have a better outcome later has come up a lot lately. And then another thing that has come up is some of my clients have had some cash flow issues. You know, especially I have several realtors who are clients, and you know, it's a little different than it was the last couple of years. And coming up with options for them, whether it's borrowing money from themselves, from their retirement plans, or you know, different options to help them bridge that gap of cash flow, because it's not necessarily an asset problem, it's a cash flow problem, has been big too. I took a lot of extra classes in taxation and retirement plans and estate planning and all that. So, you know, I'm certainly not an attorney or an accountant, but I can at least help and work with their accountant to give them the best outcome possible.
Okay, I have a question. I like to say all the things you're not supposed to say. I don't know if you know this about me, but I feel like
I'm a fiduciary, Aaron, so we can say whatever we want.
I feel like I'm not an accountant. I'm the farthest thing from an accountant. But I even knew if you were making all that money in real estate, you should probably hold back because it couldn't last forever, right? Were those conversations that you were like at this point, when you get to that point, are you like, wait, we had these conversations, or this was something we planned on happening? Because we all are in industries that sometimes they flourish, but then also, and I feel like real estate's one we all know is not always hot, and it's not always not hot, right?
Yes. And yes, the conversation redundantly, because, you know, I went through 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, that whole recession with clients in the past also that were realtors. And it was like feast or famine. You're having feast, put it away. And the ones that are still my clients are the ones that actually listen, because the other ones, it was just, you couldn't save them. You know what I mean? They were spending. And now there's a new wave of people that, you know, we're working through it, and fortunately real estate didn't come to a screeching halt. So it's just adjusting to less cash flow and finding ways to get through that. And it's fun to me. It's like that's what I love the most, is looking at all the facts of somebody's situation and going, this is like a puzzle, and I'm going to find a way to make it the best outcome. You know, it might be some, you know, and I'll give a few options typically, but I don't give just regular streamlined, do this like you would normally hear. I'll try to come up with varying things that will help them.
I saw this stat the other day, and I'm not going to say the exact numbers, but the amount of people that became real estate agents while all of the stuff was going on was insane. And it's really interesting that now the market kind of, like in the past 2 years, how many people became real estate agents was the stat. And it was pretty crazy. It'll be interesting to see how that levels out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. And who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Hi, well, my name is Ann Walton, and I, like Kelly, am not originally from here. So I actually got here. I met my now husband of 15 years. I met him at a really good friend's wedding long ago. So we moved all over the Midwest, and we ended up landing here about 13 years ago. So it has just been wonderful. I absolutely love it here. And like Kelly, I can't imagine ever leaving. But I was asked here today because I am the founder and executive director of KCMO Angels. And we are a nonprofit that exists to radically change the way that every single family, child, and youth is experiencing foster care in our very own city. And we do that through wrapping just intentional relational support around them on a monthly basis. So I just have a passion for these kids. I have a passion for actually waking up every day and trying to make a difference in the world. And that's why I went on a limb and started this over 3 years ago, which is crazy. But I was working in a very corporate bank job in downtown Kansas City and was very happy doing that, but was enlightened to just really the horrible statistics that surround foster care. I'm actually a chapter of a national nonprofit, National Angels. So I learned about it through watching their mission video. ago, and I flew home from where I learned this information and told my husband I wanted to quit my job and start a chapter. So here we are.
So, Anne, I mean, you're working for a very well-known
Yeah.
bank in Kansas City, and then you decide to go on this journey. Does a little bit of Kansas City's void of service have anything to do with it, or was there a calling? I mean, what was, a couple of the pointers?
Yeah.
You're like, I need to do this. I need to do it in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the void is everywhere in our country. There are over 400,000 children right now in foster care in the country. There's over 2,000 kids in Kansas City, Missouri. That's just the 3 counties that I currently serve. So if you ask the question, is this needed? It's needed everywhere. Our strategic goal for National Angels is that we will be in every major city by the year 2050. So it's a long time from now. We've got some work to do, but I was just so honored that I was the 21st chapter to join. So it's been really fun. I truly feel like not only have I been given this amazing blueprint to build my own business and our own brand here in KC and make it local and true and honest, but they're doing the same thing, and I'm getting to be a part of that as well. So, but no, the statistics that surround foster care are pretty horrific. It's truly what I will never stop talking about, if anything, just to educate people. When I first learned about this organization, I had no idea that the moment a child enters care, they only have a 50% chance of going on to graduate high school. Only 3% of our country's foster care population is going on to graduate college. That's only 3%. 70% of our nation's prison population has a pipeline from foster care. And I've talked with several of the agencies here local in Kansas City, and they would say that over 66% of our local homeless population has spent time in foster care. I could go on and on about female teenage pregnancies, sex trafficking. There are just so many big country issues that if we just took a minute and went to the top, the start of the river, to find out why these kids keep falling in, we might be able to truly change the world. And that's what I'm daring to do.
That's wonderful. I feel like the 7 domestic violence shelters here in Kansas City do a wonderful job of collaborating. Do you feel like the folks that you work with, and then kind of like what Aaron said, and since we're not involved with anyone, we can kind of throw stuff out there. So feel free to give the politically correct answer. But do you feel like the foster care leaders do well working with each other? Are they doing better working with each other? Because there's a lot of government funding that goes on. And so you have to,
we could do a whole, yes. And I will preface to this kind of lightning bolt moment that I had where I started this. I knew nothing about foster care. I did not know anyone that had experienced foster care. So I really had to spend a good amount of time just understanding it and studying it and researching it. We could do an entire podcast on the complexity of foster care. That's half the problem, is the system is very broke for our country. It doesn't work. There's a million different hands in the pot, if you will. And that's part of the trauma that these kiddos experience. We actually have a really good visual on our Instagram page that shows a picture of a kid, and it's like in a sunburst, and it shows the 30 people that change every single time that child moves placement. And unfortunately, once a child enters foster care, they move an average of 7 times in just 2 years. So every time they move, that entire sunburst changes. They get new doctors, new teachers, new caregivers, new siblings, new neighbors. So I'm happy to report that I have been nothing but welcomed with open arms, not only from the foster care community, but other nonprofits. That's one of the reasons, as Kelly was saying, I love it here. This is not a competitive city. This is a fun, we do better together city. And I have just felt so blessed to have just been welcomed, championed, connected with the right people. And it truly just reminds me every day that we're here. My organization is here for a reason, because it is needed. And I see that every single day with the impact we're having with our families.
So the every 2 years things, that does not surprise me, but I wonder if part of that is because I have some amazing, amazing neighbors that are on their 4th of 4 siblings foster care, right? So they've gotten them all through high school. A couple of them in college right now. But the last one, has been in foster care the longest, and it's definitely probably the biggest challenge. And it's just the amount, and her and I have bonded. I drive her to school, and we've bonded really well. And she's a 16-year-old girl on top of that, which sucks anyways, right? For yourself. There is so much red tape that goes into being the foster parent, right? Too, that they can only get her as much help as they can get her without having to check all these boxes and do all these things. And it's just kind of, I had no idea how much red tape. I wonder if that plays into why people just are like, I can't do this anymore, or I need a new place.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because, and that's why I love chatting about this, because you just never know where the conversation is going to go, because there are so many different challenges. But the main reason we exist is we actually took some time to think, gosh, why are these kids moving so much? Like, why? And when you go upstream a little bit and ask these foster parents, you learn that over 50% of them close their doors to fostering after just 1 year. So they go through all that red tape just to become foster parents. And then they get their first placement, or maybe their second. And you ask them, well, why are you closing your door? Why are you asking that child to get removed or go wherever? And they all say it's because of lack of support. There's just not a ton of support for these families. And these agencies, the agencies that we have here in Kansas City, are doing the absolute best they can. They're doing a great job, but they are so overworked. They have so many kids on. I mean, they're just trying to find beds for these kids. It is not rare that I will talk to our members at, maybe a children's division office or an agency office where there's a child that had to sleep on a floor because they can't find a bed. We desperately need foster parents, desperately. We are always, that is our first inkling. If anyone ever comes to us and says, how do I become a foster parent? We will guide them in the right direction, because we need more of them. But that is part of the struggle. It's part of the quadrupling trauma that these kids experience. Is they really need help. They need, one of our programs is the Dare to Dream program, and we offer mentorship. So that 16-year-old, she would be an ideal candidate to get connected with us, and we would find her either a strong female mentor or whatever her likes and dislikes were, to really just navigate the next stage of life for her. But our Love Box program really focuses, and that was our first program, around holistically supporting the family. So your neighbor that you just described, this sounds like this amazing couple. They have these 4 kids. The fact that they've done that to keep the siblings together is just incredible. That can be rare as well. But what our program would look like for them is they would contact KCMO Angels and say, we would like to sign up for your Love Box program. We would then match them with a dedicated volunteer or a group of volunteers. And every single month, that volunteer would be their Love Box leader, and they would bring them a box of goodies, snacks, essentials, whatever those kiddos were into. And it's not just the kids in care, it's the entire family, because if the parents decide to foster, the entire family decides to foster. But what we love so much about our program, and the reason we're seeing actual statistical evidence that they work, is that every single month the visit becomes less and less about the box of stuff and more about the people bringing it. We just recently matched a family that sounds very similar to the one you just described. They have been fostering for over 6 years. They have had, I want to say, 10 kids in their home in that time. They currently have 6. None of them are related. They're just all 6 different kids. 2 have very severe medical issues, and they've been on our wait list for over a year. And we've finally been able to match them with a Love Box family. And so every month now they are going to get intentional relational support. And the best part of it is they've openly said, the wife has said, my husband has a great job. We're so blessed. We honestly just want relational support. We are always opening the door to more healthy adults that want to be a part of our lives, that want to be a part of our kids' lives, that want to cheer us on and just tell these kids they're doing a great job. So that's kind of exactly what you said. That is a problem, and that's why we exist. We are trying to change the statistics of these kids, literally one child at a time.
I love that. All right, we could let you talk all day. I think we're all like this, but we should probably let Mike and Andrew join the conversation. But I definitely want to connect offline and make sure that you get on here and connect with Ann, because it sounds like her program is doing some amazing things. Look, Paul is watching on LinkedIn. Let us know if you're watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I'm on TikTok right now, live. You guys are all on TikTok live as well right now. So we got all the things. Okay, Mike, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
I'm Mike Miller. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Advisors Excel. We're based in Topeka, Kansas. I grew up in Perry, out by Perry Lake, and really never moved away. We moved to Kansas City for 5 years after we were first married, and then decided to move back to be closer to family. So I've always been around there. Two of our oldest daughters live in Prairie Village and Overland Park, so Kansas City's not far away for us. So at Advisors Excel, we basically work with independent advisors across the U.S. We offer an asset management platform as well as insurance distribution. We also do radio, TV, branding, compliance, technology, just any number of things to help independent advisors succeed in that world.
And what are you currently waiting on right this second? Why are you so antsy? What are you waiting on going on?
I'm waiting on our first grandchild to be born. She's actually due on Friday, but we're thinking early. So if my screen goes black at some point, you'll know where you exist in the pecking order there.
I like it. So Mike, I'm gonna do 3 rapid fire questions. One is when you started at your organization, how many associates work there and how many work there today? Why was there national prominence on your recruiting that you did? And then third, you're an author. So let's start with where it started, where it's at.
I think I was around number 170 with the company. That was 9.5 years ago. We're currently up to about 850 as far as number of employees. We've expanded offices. We really do try to be a good corporate citizen in Topeka and kind of pour back into that. So most of our staffing is in Topeka. We've just recently opened an office in Lenexa because we do have quite a few folks that commute in from Kansas City every day. So that's your first question, right?
Yep.
170 to 8.
On recruiting, before recruiting, you guys were pioneers in recruiting and going viral.
Recruiting advisors?
Recruiting people to move to Topeka.
Move to Topeka. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, actually, that's kind of a long story. The guy that was, actually, I don't know what his position was. He moved from Tulsa up to Topeka, and basically he runs Go Topeka and a number of different organizations here. He had some success with recruiting people into the Tulsa market, so we kind of piggyback that. We worked with a number of different corporate sponsors as well as the city to provide it's a cash incentive to move in. So it's not necessarily moving expenses, but if you move within I think it's within the county, there's a $15,000 payout to help people buy homes and relocate and stuff. We've had a lot of success with that. And it's really helped us to recruit from other larger markets. Topeka being a smaller market city is a little more difficult to recruit to, but we've had a lot of success with that one.
And then you're an author.
I am an author. So I think it's almost 2 years ago now, I published a book called First Habits Win. It's basically how we taught our daughters we've got 3 daughters, all adults now, how we taught them to manage money. And it's based on my own failures coming out of college and kind of where we struggled. I just didn't want our daughters to struggle with that. So we set up a really specific way to teach them and train them and get some real hands-on experience. It's worked out very well. So I decided to publish a book. I found out as soon as I published it, I'm not a great author. So I've been in the process of rewriting it for some time now. Also working on kind of getting a curriculum together to help parents with those, with teaching that subject. A lot of people just aren't comfortable with the subject of money and, how to manage it correctly. They don't feel adequate with their own money. So therefore they're hesitant to teach the next generation. And I'd really like to get them over that and basically get kids basic money management knowledge and training before they get to college or get out and get the first job. That's when a lot of people make money mistakes that stay with them for a long time.
I saw something yesterday. I'm trying to remember where I saw it at, but it said the things that you don't learn in school that you need, and one of them was money management, just your finances. Like there's no basic, just this is what you should do with your money. Like you learn algebra, but not that. I thought that was really
well, and I think the in-school thing is a great deal, but I mean, I think we could all point to subjects we learned and passed the classes in school and probably couldn't regurgitate right now. I think it's got to be more of a hands-on experience. That's the reason we did it with our kids at home. And it was basically at 12 years old, giving them real money and a real budget to manage on their own. And, I'll be honest with you, it's hard. I mean, they learned some hard life lessons early on in their life. And as a parent, to let them go through that and let them, you know, let them learn by that experience is difficult because you always want to bail your kids out. But, you know, I feel like we all learn those things at one point. I would much rather them learn it at 13 years old with $300 rather than at 30 years old with 300,000. So
I probably need that book because I got a 16-year-old. I'm pretty sure he thinks it just grows on trees, right?
Yep.
He thinks his debit card just uploads itself all the time. He'll literally call me and be like, what's that amount can I go through the McDonald's? I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, unfortunately, we almost empower kids to be, you know, to not understand the value and where that comes from because we believe taking care of them is providing for them, but it's beyond providing for them. I think you need to teach them how to manage that as well.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you, but I need some help. Okay.
I'll send you a book, Aaron.
I'm excited for your first grandbaby. You'll have to update us.
They're not all sold out yet, so you're good. I'll send you a book.
I was waiting for volume 2.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew Brain. Oh, look, Paul said the same thing. My kid thinks money falls. Well, and I don't know if y'all know what's going on with teenagers right now. Does anybody on here have a teenager currently besides me? Teenagers are also refusing to just not learn to drive because mom and dad drive them around so much that I thought it was just a thing in my house. And the more I talk about it, 16, 17-year-olds are like, nah, we're good. We don't even want to do like, there's a lot of life lessons that need to happen right now in the team.
Wow.
Sounds like. Andrew, who are you? What are you doing? How do you get to Kansas City?
Andrew Brain. I run Brain Group. We're a value add asset manager here in town focused on office and retail, Class B office and retail assets in the greater Kansas City area. What we do is we turn around retail and office assets in KCMO. How I got to Kansas City is I'm born and bred from here, you know, left for a little bit, but, you know, never would go anywhere else.
So, Andrew, I'm not going to ask the driving question that Aaron just did. I'm assuming that's why you were laughing, and we'll share that later. But if you can
but I at least got my license.
No, I know. I'm talking about, but for reference, I mean, things that you've done in Kansas City are very impactful. But if you could talk about some of the real estate projects that you've been working on, because a lot of it's revitalizing parts of the city as well as rehabbing very historical places. But I think the audience would love to learn about some of your projects.
Yeah, thanks. Well, you know, first off, I got to give a shout out to both sponsors. One, Bank of Blue Valley. They bank our drone wash business. So thank you, Bank of Blue Valley. And two, Burns and McDonnell is a part of our project that, you know, Scott, you referenced a little bit. Park 39 is a project we're working on. It's a 16-acre campus starting with the old Westport Middle School and the old Westport High School we purchased at 39th and Gillum. We're renovating that in a $250 million master plan project across multifamily, office, retail, and a couple other things. That really starts with the renovation of these two old historic schools. The one I'm sitting in today, which you can't see with the blurred background, was built in 1923. It's now 160,000 square feet of office space. And the ones under construction, or rather renovation across the street, and Burns and Mack is our architect on that project, is going to be 138 apartments across a 200,000 square foot old school that was built in 1908.
And then, Andrew, to draw a little bit of the parallel, we can take this a bunch of different directions, but you also do a lot of work with a non-for-profit. I'd love for you to share what that non-for-profit is. And then also, do you give me parallels of the work that Ann does and then the people that you work with and represent? Yeah,
and my heart goes out to you on the foster care situation. A little bit aware of it through the adoption thing, and the red tape, like you talked about, Aaron. The red tape to adopt and foster is just. I just want to help. I just want to do this, make it easy. But they're there for a good reason, unfortunately. But it is a lot of red tape. But yeah, there's an organization I've been a part of, been on the board for 6 years, called Midwest Innocence Project. It's been in the news recently. We just recently got a guy home, Lamar Johnson. He was convicted of a double murder, life without parole, in St. Louis when he was 1,000 miles away at the time the crime was committed. Served 28 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. It happens. I thought this was like a once in a million thing. It happens more often than you think. Ricky Kidd, 23 years, life without parole. Kevin Strickland, 43 years, life without parole. But all for crimes they did not commit. Not like maybe didn't. Like Ricky was in the sheriff's office getting a gun permit with a time-stamped form at the time the crime was committed. and still ended up in 23 years, life without parole, never was going home without the efforts of the Midwest Innocence Project. Lamar has been a big case in the news recently. Like I said, 28 years, just recently got out. There's actually a reception for him this evening. I'm very excited to meet him. I've never met him before in person, so very excited about that.
How did you get involved with Midwest Innocence Project? And how
A friend
do
of
I
mine.
get involved?
Well, there's always the donation option. Go check our website, bmip.org. You can definitely check that out. That's one of the things we're working on is a legal-based organization. It's hard for non-lawyers. As a non-lawyer myself, I can't review cases. I can't go into the courtroom. I'll go and scream at the judge. I'll do that, no problem, but they'll throw me out really quickly. We're working on how do we access our volunteers' time. There's lots of things to be done. We're working on building a social work program alongside, like the Love Boxes things, trying to work with these folks. There's a lot of parallels for these folks that are in prison that do get out and transition back to society. These folks are also in that transition back to society, and they weren't even supposed to be there. So it's kind of this extra emotional piece to it. So we're working with them and developing that program right now.
I feel like there's some sort of marketing play here too, right? Of making people aware of the situations to get more people to help out with the donations and stuff too. I'm just throwing out some of my skill sets. That's all I'm doing. Just throwing those out.
Sounds great. I will hit you up for that.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, like, love her, like her, hate her. Most of you guys probably hate her, but Kim Kardashian does a lot of work in this space. And because of her simple social media, I mean, she's got a huge following. It has changed some major lives on some other
Kevin
places.
Strickland's GoFundMe hit 1.2345 million.
Yeah.
Apparently, because of Kim Kardashian, she shared it. I didn't know till later. So thanks to her for sharing that and getting Kevin's story out there. 43 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit is just an astronomical amount of time. I mean, it's the vast majority of, the average lifespan. So, yeah,
That's crazy.
terrible.
Well, I didn't know that you were involved with that. That's pretty cool, Andrew.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do this. It is time for the Burns and McDonnell question of the day. You hear that MC voice? You hear that? All right.
Ooh, it's good. It's good.
Thank you. Been working on it. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to play the question of the day. And as soon as she's done, Kelly, just jump into your answer and then we'll go all the way back around. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Lisa Diven, and I am a mechanical engineer at Burns & McDonnell, and I currently work on proposals for our oil, gas, and chemicals division. And my question today is, what does success look like for your business?
I love that you know which way to point. I guarantee you I would have pointed the wrong way.
100 shows later.
So success for me in my business would be impacting as many families and small business, owners, which then goes back to their families' lives as I can, to just help them leave the legacy that they want or have the life they want, whatever it is their goals are, helping them realize those dreams so that they can have a bigger impact on whatever they want to be able to do.
That was really fast.
Was it supposed to be longer? I thought it was like,
it's okay.
So success to me looks like reaching all 2,000 of those kids. That is going to be done when I have an entire team of case managers that can handle all 2,000 of those kids. But I truly believe that what our programs offer, not only the children, but the teenagers, the families, we're just so needed. And every single child deserves to have a mentor. Every single fostering family deserves to have relational support. So if I woke up tomorrow and we had 2,000 kiddos on our list, that would just, that would be success for me.
How many do you currently have?
Last year, we were able to serve 244.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
How about you, Mike Miller? Besides the grandbaby.
Besides the grandbaby, that's success. So we really focus on three constituencies at Advisors Excel. First off, our advisors, they're all independent entrepreneurs and stuff. So we base our success on their growth and their success. We also look at our staff as basically one of our constituencies that we need to grow and basically pour into. And obviously, the happier they are, the better service they provide for our advisors and things like that. So we do a lot of stuff with staff. And then our third constituency is the community that we serve. And it's all about just pouring back into the community. We do every Associated Advisors Excel does 4 hours of volunteering every quarter. And so with 800 people, we're able to make a big impact on the city. If we manage those three constituencies and help those three out, we tend to do very well as a company. And so we don't have to focus so hard on, results and stuff. I mean, I think the question was next quarter. We really don't measure results in quarterly timelines anymore.
Andrew, look, first before you answer, Dan Herder says, wow, Andrew never ceases to impress. The work you do for the Midwest Innocence Project is inspiring.
Oh, well, thank you, Dan. Thank you so much.
One quick thing, Dan got engaged last week on Wednesday, and then also just returned an email. He, out of nowhere, he's a CEO like Andrew is mentoring a young woman for the University of Kansas. So shout out to Dan for all his help and engagement. But Andrew, what about success for your organization?
Well, kudos to Dan, got to say that. But success for organization, I mean, like Mike, we're a platform. You either operate your business in one of our buildings, you operate your business in one of our shopping centers, or you live in some of our apartments. So we base success on the people that succeed on that platform. Are they able to operate their business and grow because they don't have to worry about their office space? Are we giving them the best possible space in both a retail and office environment? And same with a house. Apartment is people's home. Are they having a good, healthy, happy home so that they can grow as a person, both financially and spiritually and socially? And so far, everything is going the right direction.
I feel very rarely, I was in property management for like 8 years, and I did not work with Andrew, so let me preface that by this, but I feel very rarely that you hear that towards the top, and I like to hear that, where the apartment is actually somebody's home, right? Yep. I think sometimes that can get forgotten in the commercial real estate space.
100%. Yeah, it's something we put front and center in our mission statement. Our key mission is about aligning interest. One, on the back end, the way we make money and renovate our buildings and how we structure our deals with our partners. But two, with our tenants. If our tenants aren't happy and we're continuously replacing them, then it's not a good success. So we really said, wait, that's actually key to our success, not everything else. Making sure they're happy and doing the best they can will in turn fuel everything else behind it.
Right.
Awesome.
I like that. All right, here's the thing. Can you guys even believe that tomorrow is going to be March 1st? It is so insane to me. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, time's going faster, or if I'm living in like an alternate universe. I don't know what's going on, but tomorrow's March 1st. And just 2 months ago, we were talking about all the great things we were going to accomplish this year. So, Kelly, how good and forward are you going on your goals? And are you going to close out Q1 like you thought? Like, give us all the scoop.
Well, I feel very fortunate and blessed. Yes, this quarter has been the best quarter I've ever had thus far. Last year was my best year, and the year before that was my best. Like, since the pandemic started, which is amazing to me because it seems like the pandemic was like the haves and the have-nots as far as the businesses taking off or the businesses struggling some. And I've just been really fortunate. I've had a lot of people that I've just been able to help them through such, an uncertain time. So yes, this quarter is great. I'm focused on some other goals. My business is doing well, and I'm getting a lot of new referrals, which is wonderful. And I'm, focused on really refining my business to make my process one that will help my clients have a lot more, very clear direction instead of like, I love the one-on-one that I do with people, but sometimes I feel like it could be improved by saying, we're going to meet this quarter about this quarter about this, like your tax evaluation or whatever. So that's my goal by the end of the quarter. But things have been great, and I guess that's about it.
I like it. Sounds like you're doing great. Anne, how about you?
Yeah, we're just having we're in a really exciting time. We Just had an all-time high last year in terms of fundraising and kids served. And that's just really exciting. We took a leap of faith and decided to host a big fancy gala, and that paid back tenfold. We accomplished what we set out to spread our mission to 200 people. Several of them had never heard of us. We have new volunteers from that event, and we raised a bunch of money. So that was great. And because of that, we are actually bringing on our 4th new hire. She starts tomorrow. So we're now a team of 4. And that's truly what we do with our fundraising dollars. 90% of our dollars go to hiring more case managers so we can serve more kids. We'll never have a big fancy office because we don't need one. So that's just really exciting. We did just post our save the dates for those. We have 2 signature fundraising events that are very important to our infrastructure. So August 26th is going to be our 2nd annual gala, and we're having our 4th annual golf tournament up in the Northland on Friday, October 20th. So we're just rocking and rolling. I also have a brand new board for the most part, which can be daunting, but I have the most incredible board members. I had the most incredible founding board members, and somehow I just keep getting introduced to just incredible community members that are truly a working board and rolling up their sleeves and doing a lot of work. So I just couldn't be more excited for where we're at.
And then, and to give the audience context in case they tuned in, your organization, your chapter is less than 2.5 years old, right?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's a lot of success
my
in a short
origin
period of time.
story the last time. Yes, yeah, we actually launched in 2020, like March of 2020. So that was really fun to start a brand new nonprofit during a pandemic when you couldn't go out and meet with people. And we honestly did great. And it was just a reminder that we are meant to be here. And I was so honored to have just an incredible board that carried us through some of those dark times. But yeah, we're very much new in the sense, I would say that's the most challenging part of my job is just truly running a business. I have a lot of experience with marketing and sales. And I just am trying to run this organization like a for-profit company. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that nonprofits should be able to just do all this amazing stuff for free. And that's not how it works. You can't retain good talent without paying them a decent wage. You can't get people excited to go to work if you don't have the benefits and the perks. And you want to retain people. So it's I'm constantly kind of fighting that. And just always looking who can we hire next to, any problem in a nonprofit can be solved with money because you can simply hire someone to do that, to take care of that problem. So right now I probably wear about 30 full-time hats. So as the years go on, I'm going to take off one hat at a time and truly just be the executive director. So
I have a really
thank you for asking.
Really quick foster kid question since you brought up the COVID.
Yeah.
The COVID. I don't know why I called it that. Are there more, less, or the same amount of foster kids pre-COVID versus post-COVID?
So the one statistic that I know to be true that I can speak to is that the moment COVID hit and shutdowns began, the CPS calls, the Child Protective Services calls, went away, which is terrifying because that doesn't mean there's not a need to call. It just means that all those safe helper people we're not seeing these kids to report things. So to me, that was such a motivator in 2020 was I felt like these kids needed us more than ever. I mean, we had love box drop-offs like through windows, like we were just like, we will be here. And I can speak to the fact that the agencies did the same thing. I don't know that I have a number if there's more or less, but my guess would be that trauma was definitely heightened. If you talk about a parent that's under trauma that maybe has the chance of getting their child lost, the stress was high in 2020. So I'm sure that just amplified things.
I feel like it was hard if you're like, I'm not very maternal. I'm a great mom, but I'm not maternal. And then all of a sudden you became a homeschool mom and all the things. And that probably definitely heightened a lot of stuff if there were.
Well, and that was part of it. Yeah, I'm like up in my upstairs office. I was still working for my old job at the bank at the time. And then, in the background, I'm trying to launch this and I've got 2 kids at home and I want to scream. And I'm thinking, I can't even imagine these foster families. What are they doing? I mean, because these kids, they need to get out of the house. They need to go to their support services. They need to go to their counseling sessions. They need to go to school. So yeah, it just, I'm so thankful we're through all that, and we can just focus on a more normal road.
Mike, where are you at on your goals?
Actually going really well. That, as far as the business and the revenue and stuff like that, it's been record setting since the pandemic. But from a goal standpoint, we continue to try to surround advisors with services that can help them grow. So we launched a call center operation to help with lead generation funnels, qualifying clients, getting appointments set, call to action off of their radio and TV programs and stuff to staff those things. We've also launched a high net worth planning team to help advisors with more advanced case design. So, that could be wills, trust, tax issues, things like that. Just another service to help advisors, because some of these cases get really unique and you need very specialized help in certain states and things like that. So that's up and running. I guess we launched the TV studio last year, but again, that's almost really how we measure things and how the goals progress, is looking at other services we can continue to provide to take things off advisors and keep them in the planning and sales process, which they do really well.
My favorite people are the people that say measure instead of measure. So now you're one of my favorites.
All right.
Really? Is that I don't want to dive down that road. Mike, what about one of Erin's favorite topics? She's one of the best at hosting live shows and then TikTok. But one thing she's diving into a lot more, and I'm curious if yours, how is artificial intelligence playing it as a tool for you? Because you service a lot of folks to help folks like Kelly grow their business. How is artificial intelligence helping you serve advisors like Kelly?
You have 3 minutes to answer all the things about artificial intelligence.
Well, it's going to be quick for me because we've looked at artificial intelligence, but we haven't put anything in. So one of the things that we really try to do is be very personal. So every phone call that comes into the business, thousands a day, is answered by a live person. We try to connect with that, more personal thing. So we really haven't done anything with like Chat GPT or anything. Well, just give you a quick story. So we started a chat function for advisors to use that to go back and forth with. We don't even get use on that. So we closed it down after getting like 2 chats a week. It's almost all by phone.
Yep.
So there are a lot of great uses, Scott, but we've chosen not to go that direction yet.
I am a total geek about AI. So if you ever want to talk about it, just give me a call. Kind of sad everyone knows about ChatGPT right now because I was playing on there a lot and they don't let you play on there as much. So give me a call if you want to. All right, Andrew Brain, where are you at on your goals?
So, big personal goal and was the MIP, getting Lamar out. So that was a big check. Been hearing about this case since I joined the board 6 years ago. So that was a big one. That was something we were really hoping for. But professionally, big goal for us is buying a building and seeing tenants expand. Because again, we want to see these businesses succeed. So far, we haven't had any expansions this year. We had a record number last year, and buying a building's been tough. Interest rates make it a little difficult, but we're still hopeful we can find one.
That's all.
But in terms of other goals, yeah, like what, did you just have 2? You got married, bought a house, so you did all those things. But like, what other?
You know what?
You're
Scott,
driving.
for you, a big goal this year personally is to buy a car. I'm going to buy a car this year. So you all know that got into that, and I don't own a car. I haven't owned a car in 5 years, but I've decided this year I am buying a car. So,
I like that you don't own a car. I think it's cool because you're great at, for your associates and the people that your investors, you're working really hard for them. So, but yeah, I get.
I like that you pretend you act like you live in New York City.
100%. Kansas City's the biggest city in the world. It's my favorite place to be. Name something New York City has that Kansas City doesn't. I challenge you. You can't find anything.
The subway in your case. The subway.
Okay, fine. The subway. Fine. You got me there. That's one no one has ever said before. You got a streetcar. There you go. So we got a streetcar. Yeah. Ha.
Subway has a few more stops. You wouldn't have to buy a car if you were there. You wouldn't want to buy a car. Awesome. Well, here is the deal. We want to thank everybody that came on the show so much. Everybody that's on the show is tagged on LinkedIn. There's people watching over here on LinkedIn. Change your privacy settings. Everyone can see your page anyways, but this is what it comes up if you have your privacy settings on. I don't know who that is, but change your privacy settings so I can call you out next time. If you are watching on LinkedIn, everybody is tagged on LinkedIn. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, just go check out LinkedIn to connect with all of our amazing guests today. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you, Bank of Blue Valley and Burns and McDonnell. And Scott, as always, thank you so much for being the best co-host ever. We will be back next Tuesday. And then if you want to catch us in person, you can catch us down at Power and Light on Thursday for I'm going to screw all this up. Here goes my sports talk for the Big 12 tournament. We will be celebrating with Bank of Blue Valley, cheering on all the Big 12 teams. Did I do it right?
Cool.
Thursday is a business holiday for Kansas City, and it's
Business
the Big 12
Olympics.
tournament. So, yes, Aaron, you did a great job.
Scott calls it the Business Olympics. Come to Power and Light next Thursday. Not this Thursday, next Thursday when there's sports ball on. We'll see you guys later. Bye.